Hey guys, welcome to the CO visit once again. Colin here. Good to see everybody. Happy Friday. And, well, my trusty coffee always with me. Thank you for clicking on this video. And, well, let's get right into it. So, right now, if you go on jw.org, there's a featured article that talks about if the Bible teaches tolerance. Anyway, um, so they talk about that, and of course they say that they do. They're tolerant of people's beliefs, and they accept everybody. They're respectful and all that. And then at the very bottom, it's very interesting. The reason why I said that the word shunning is now in JW lingo is because they never used to use that word before. They just said we don't, you don't associate with certain people, bad association. And all the time that I was a witness, never heard the word shunning particularly, but now they use it. So it's funny that if you look at that article and then down at the bottom, when it says, well, if we're so, if witnesses are tolerant and all that, why do they shun their ex-members and things like that? And they said, listen to the next article. So you click on that and it brings you to this other article. Of course, in the title of that article, they don't use the word shunning anymore. You see how they trap people and they bring them in? They use it there as somebody's question, but then when you actually go to the article, they say we don't associate with these members. And then it goes in and talks about that, where they say that they don't force anybody to become a witness, and they respect people if they want to leave. That's the interesting part. Now, here's the thing. As always, with the double talk, the manipulation of the governing body, you have to listen more to what they don't say than what they say. And what do they not say? They only talk about people who commit sins, who commit serious wrongdoing, and are removed from the congregation, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I agree with that either. I'm not saying I agree with people being shunned for any reason whatsoever. Okay? Whether they committed some sin, according to them, or whatever it might be. What they don't talk about is that people who willingly decide to leave, or members who simply go inactive, they simply go cold, they fade away, are treated exactly the same way. Which, according to what they're saying in the article, let's say, for example, someone decides to leave, they don't want to be a witness anymore, like my daughter did, okay, as a prime example, as I always use, right? What happens then? Do witnesses respect their choice to change religions? Do they keep talking to them? Do they keep associating with them? No. And that's where the hypocrisy comes in, my friends, and especially you Jehovah's Witnesses out there. That's where the hypocrisy comes in. Because you're saying on one hand that you respect people's right to change beliefs and change religions, and yet you're not telling the truth in those articles, because you only focus on people who are involved in serious wrongdoing. But you don't tell the rest of the story. You stop there. You don't say, well, when people decide to change their religion, of course, we don't stop them, but they're shunned just the same. They're cut off. So are you really respecting people's rights? Are you really respecting their freedom of choice to change religions? No, you're not. And then they go on to point out how these other religions, or not, I'm sorry, they point out how the courts and how the religious people, hoy no amigo, aquí no, they point out how the courts and governments back them up. They back them up. They say it's our constitutional right to remove people from our church and not associate with them. Well, of course they are. Of course they are, because the information they're getting is a half-truth. The one that you're presenting there in your article. And they say to the courts, and they say to the governments, well, you can come on our website. Go on jw.org. All the information's right there. And they have a tab right there for governments and for legal entities. yet they're not getting what the real practice is. They're presenting a practice to the public when in reality, the culture of the religion and the practice in the congregations is not what they're saying it is in the publication on jw.org. And that's why the governments and the courts have tended to back up Watchtower. Same thing that happened in Norway, because the information was not presented in a truthful fashion. They didn't pay enough attention to the use of words and terminology within the church. Okay? And it doesn't seem like there's a tremendous amount of interest, because there's been no response. I don't know about any of you. I've gotten no response, even a acknowledgement or confirmation from the Norwegian Ministry of I think it was culture or whatever it was, that also handles religious matters and funding and all of that. So I really don't have high hopes, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have very high hopes for the appeal to the Supreme Court. I really don't. Unless they change something. If they don't change something, if they just go there and present exactly the same information to the Supreme Court without telling the Supreme Court, yes, but this was not the way it is. The Supreme Court's just going to say, what's different here? You gave us the same thing. No, they're going to uphold the appellate court. They're going to uphold it. You'll see. Which is sad. It's a shame that that's the way it's going to go down, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to mention that today. So Jehovah's Witnesses, you know that information on there is not truthful. It's not truthful. Tell all of it, not just the part that's convenient for you. That's not being honest. I don't think your Jehovah, your God, approves of that. Anyway, there'll always be some apologetic asshole that'll come on here and still defend it. But anyway, so like I mentioned in my my community post, those of you that are following the audio book readings of my book, the volume 1 of the Neophyte Chronicles, Cosmic Destiny, volume 1, on Sunday, there's going to be a 2-part. It's chapter 3, which is called The Spaco Tragedy of 2091. I had to record it in 2 parts because it took me over 30 minutes to read. It's kind of a long chapter, so and the app that I have, you can only record for 30 minutes at a time, so it cut off, and there was still about like 6 minutes left, so I had to record a part 2. So the way it's going to go down is at 6 o'clock to about 6:30 is going to be part 1 of chapter 3, and then that live premiere will cut off, and then at 6:35 there's another one. So if you're there watching and that first one stops, don't leave, okay? Wait around, because there's a part 2. All right, so you can come into the second part and listen to the rest of it, because it's really important. If you're following it, don't miss the information, okay? Don't miss it. So anyway, I hope you guys can listen to that. I hope you're enjoying it. As I said, my email is in those comments. It's on that publication. So if you want to send me an email and get a free copy of the actual digital copy of the book, then I'll just send it to you and you can read it. Okay, you don't have to wait for the audio readings if you want, but you can follow those if you wish as well. So I'm already working on volume 2 of the Neophyte Chronicles, which is called the Neophyte Conspiracy. Okay, so I'm just starting chapter 8 of that. I'm writing it, so I'm working on that. It's going well, so that'll be coming out probably in the next month or so. So you can stay tuned for that as well. Okay, remember all the ways that you can support the channel. Thank you very much. Be blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.